Often there are some highly anticipated results stemming from a clinical trial, and when those results are formally published, links to that article are rapidly shared and commented on. In this video, I'm going to explain how you can monitor the sharing of those links by the professional healthcare community on Twitter, how to determine who is sharing them, and what the initial impressions of those results are. Now, here we're looking at an article that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it's disclosing the results of the Emperor Reduced trial that was originally published in late August of last year. And I want to look at the activity over the month following its being published. So first, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to copy the URL. Now let's go to our dashboard. This dashboard is using the New England Journal of Medicine's web domain as its data source, and it's set to look at the time span of August 27th through the end of September. And right now it's populated with every tweet during that time that had a link in it that was pointing to this journal's website, over 34,000 in total. But we want to limit this to just that one article. So I'm going to select a filter, a URL filter. And right in this box, I'm going to paste that URL that we just copied from the New England Journal of Medicine. And I have some choices up here. I'm going to select includes URLs containing, and I'm choosing this one instead of this exact URL, because if I chose exact, then it would be just that exact URL. And there's often variations of a URL, like when the link originates from a newsletter and has all sorts of extra identifiers added onto the end of it. So by selecting contains, we'll capture all of those variations. Now I'm going to hit my run button. And there we are. A little over 1,400 tweets that were linking to that article by a little over 1,100 unique individual Twitter accounts. That's a lot of activity. If I come down to my engagement activity, and I'm switching this to the total view, I can immediately see that it was doctors that were driving most of that. That's not surprising. In the network analysis, I can quickly identify where there are certain physicians in here that were like hubs of information, obviously sharing this study and then their peers reacting to that. I can also see that there's some other media outlets picked this up and they were sharing it as well. On the influencers widget, I'm going to switch my metric from simpler rank to tweets. And this will allow me to see who those individuals were. Now this is currently filtered to just look at the doctors only, and that's really what I want. I want to see which doctors were sharing links to this article. And I can click on any one of their Twitter handles and on their profile card, choose transcript. And then I can see what that specific doctor was sharing. I'm going to skip forward to our engaging tweets widget. And this is where we can really see which of these tweets were attracting the most attention. And right at the top of the list here, I see this one with 247 engagements. But this looks like a list that was put out there at the ESC Congress by a physician who was just announcing what all the studies were that were going to be discussed that day and links to their respective articles. But as I go down here, I start to see more discussion about the Emperor Reduced trial specifically, where my interest is. And I notice a lot of capitalization in here. An amazing study. Now, I see 45 engagements that it received. And maybe I want to know more about what those actual engagements were. I can simply choose my tweet history button. And there we are. I see all kinds of blue dots. That represents a lot of doctors that were engaging with this. And as I hover over these, I can see who each one of them were. Now, if I want to get into what that actual engagement was, I'll switch this into my table view. And here's where I can read all that. And I can see there's some simple retweets, replies, quote tweets, a myriad of things. Now in this table view, what's handy is I've got filter boxes. Maybe I want to see if specific people were engaging with his tweet, like Dr. Gulati, or if certain things were being discussed, like cost. So you can kind of quickly filter this down and search for various things that you're curious about on the fly. And you know what? I think I'm going to export this list of tweets with the highest engagements into a CSV file. That way, I'll be able to share this with my colleagues. So just like when you would monitor the general conversation around a clinical trial name, you can also monitor reaction even if the name isn't being mentioned at all by tracking links pointing to specific URLs like we've done here. And all of this will help you to gauge the reaction of healthcare professionals as individuals or as a group. And you may discover some new strong voices in the crowd that you weren't previously aware of. Now, certainly you'll be able to assess whether or not the results were properly understood. And with all the insights, you'll be able to lay the groundwork for successful messaging moving forward.